Hello everybody, this is Sonakshi Raika. In this video lecture, we will learn retardation test. This video lecture is divided into three parts. In the first part of the video lecture, we will understand the purpose of retardation test, the apparatus required to conduct the experiment, the theory behind retardation test will be explained. Also, we will look into the circuit connection or circuit diagram of the experiment. In the second part of the video lecture, we will understand the connection as well as the conduction of the experiment will be demonstrated in our lab. In the third part, we will see the calculation and we will see how we can calculate the stray loss, and we will also look into the advantage of using retardation test. So the purpose of the experiment is to determine the rotational loss of DC shunt machine or the stray losses of DC shunt machine. This method is applicable to only shunt DC machines. We cannot conduct this experiment on DC series machine as we are conducting this on no load condition. These are the different apparatus required: moving coil ammeter 0 to 10 amps, moving coil voltmeter 0 to 300 volts, variable rheostat which is connected in the field circuit, and starting rheostat which is connected in the armature circuit. So this is the circuit diagram of this experimental setup. Before starting with the explaining the circuit diagram, we will look into the theory part. Now here there are two approaches of conducting this test. In one approach, if the supply is cut off and the field remains normally excited, then the motor slows down gradually and then stops. Whatever the kinetic energy that is present in the armature of the DC machine will be used to meet the friction, windage and iron loss. Coming to the second approach, we cut off the supply to the armature and we also cut off the field excitation. Now the motor slows down and stops. Now whatever the kinetic energy is present in the motor armature, it is used to overcome the friction and windage loss only. Since the field is unexcited, there will be no flux and there is no point of iron loss there. Now in this lab, in our lab or in this particular experiment that I am explaining, we are using the first approach, that we cut off the armature supply but the field will always remain excited. So here you can see that field is always excited no matter what is the position of this DPDT. This DPDT used here is mainly used to cut off the supply to the armature. So the field will always remain connected to the supply. There is no switch connected to the field winding, so this will always remain excited. So this method, what we are doing, will be used to calculate the stray loss, which includes the I can say no load rotational loss, which includes friction loss, the windage loss as well as the iron loss. So once we know these no load rotational losses, for different loading condition we can calculate the copper losses in both field as well as in the armature circuit, and hence we can determine the efficiency of the machine. In this test, the machine under test is speeded up to its rated normal speed using starting and variable rheostat. So using this rheostat here and this rheostat here, we will bring the machine to its rated speed. Now there are two sections in the procedure. The first one is without electrical load and second one is with electrical load. So in the first part of the procedure, we cut off the armature from the supply, we keep the field excited, and what we do here is using this DPDT. Initially this DPDT will be in M1 M2 position, which means that the motor is connected to the supply. So once it reaches its rated speed, we simply open the DPDT switch. Now the supply is cut off and now the armature is slows down, and whatever kinetic energy is stored will be used to meet the stray losses. We note down the time taken by the armature to slow down. We look into certain initial voltage and the final voltage, and we keep up certain final voltage. We will check until it reaches certain final voltage. The voltage starts to reduce. So till that voltage, whatever the time taken for the armature to slow down, that is noted down. In the second set of reading, or in the second part of the procedure, the same thing again, we will speed up the motor to its rated value, and this DPDT switch will be in the M1 M2 position. Now what we do here is, using this DPDT switch, we throw the switch to L1 L2 position. What happens here is, the motor will be cut off from the supply, but now this motor circuit will be connected to this load circuit. Now this load is purely resistive circuit. This load will act as certain retarding torque to the armature. This facilitates the slow down operation of the armature. So now again we note down the time taken for armature voltage to reach from certain initial to final value. So this is the overall procedure of this experiment. We will understand the procedure as well as conduction in the next part of the video lecture. So this is the specification. We use DC compound motor here, 230 volt to 29 amps, 7.5 HP rating, and 1500 speed.
So today we will demonstrate the experiment on retardation test by electrical loading. Okay, in this experiment we will going to find out the rotational losses of a DC motor. Okay, so this experiment requires the DC shunt motor and rheostat, starting rheostat, field rheostat, and triple pole double throw switch. Okay. And in this switch basically we have a M1 and M2 terminals to connect to the armature of a DC motor. This is L1 and L2 represents for the load terminal connection. Load is inbuilt in the panel basically, and initially the position of the switch, double throw means first initially the switch position is switch on to the M1 and M2 terminals, so that as soon as you are switch on the supply, your machine is the armature is connected to your supply voltage, because this switch is close on to the M1 and M2 side, which is connected to the armature terminal. So the field excitation, the field the field rheostat of a DC motor is keep it in the cutout position, and this is rheostat in cut-in position. This is the connection of the retardation test experiment. Okay, so now we will conduct the experiment how to go for the as per the procedure. Initially we have to switch on the DC supply to start the motor, DC supply, and as soon as the DC supply, there is a voltage coming across the voltmeter, and there is a, because of the voltage available across the armature, so there is a speed is increases. You have to bring this rated, the speed is the rated speed by cutting out the starting rheostat. Slowly you have to do, and you observe that the speed is increases in the DC machine. And this may not be sufficient to bring it to the rated speed. Then finally close the switch of the starting rheostat, and you have to slowly cut in the shunt field rheostat of a DC machine, so that the excitation will be more, and excitation will be more, then there will be the speed is also more, because of voltage is more across the armature terminal. So now in this experiment you have to calculate the time lapses from decreases from 220 volts to 180 volts in the meter, because after opening of the switch, so the voltage is fall off from 220 volts. So 20% of voltage we have to take for the timing. So from reduction from 220 to 180 volts, what is the time required for the fall off from 220 to 180 volts? So that is without electrical loading we have to do. So in that, when the moment I switch off the thrown on the open the switch, so this build up voltage will start falling. Okay, that is you have to note down with the timer. So timer should be ready. So you have to start this timer as soon as you opening of the switch, and you have to stop the timer, and as soon as your voltage is fall from 220 to 180 volts. So then That time is called as a T1 time. We need T1 record to, in this case, this is the case for without electrical loading. Okay, now I will opening this switch, the timer is going to be on. Okay, so now the voltage is falling from 220 to 180 volts. Stop. Yes. So this is timer is stopped. So 7.6 volt. The minute is the recording here. Seconds is the recording here. So you have to. This is the first case of the experiment to note down the time of T1. So this is the second part of the experiment where we can do this experiment for the with electrical load. Okay, with the electrical load, in this case also initially the position of the TPST switch is TPDT switch is that you have to put it in a M1 and M2 only, so that armature is directly connected to this supply. And in this case you have to note down the time T2. Okay, where the switch is thrown from M1, M2, L1 and L2 directly, so that armature is directly connected to the load, so that how much time it will take from, again it is fall from 220 volts to 180 volts. In this case, along with the voltmeter reading, initial and final value, initial value is 220, final value is 180. At the same time, initial value of the current, final value and initial value of the current also you have to note down at that particular time. That time is T2. So rotational losses you will get P average is nothing but a V initial plus V final by 2 into I initial plus I final by 2. So this will product is gives the P average into T2 by T1 minus T2 gives the rotational losses of a machine as per a calculation formula. Now we'll start the machine, okay, like earlier. Okay, but in this case, okay, again you have to bring the speed of a motor to the rated by cutting out the starting rheostat. The speed is increases and close the SPST switch. Then you have to further decrease the rheostat so that it will cut in, so that the speed is increases, because the flux is more, voltage is more, than the speed is more. Now after bringing to the rated value, near to the rated value, you have to open this switch. As soon as you open this switch, you have to switch on the timer to note down the time T2. So the T2, you have to note down, you have to throw on the switch at this instant, you have to note down the final value of current and final value of the voltage from fall from 220 volts to 180 volts. So stop. So this takes a less time basically, because the load is connected directly to the armature. It takes a less time. It takes 4 seconds. Okay, it is less time because the load is connected to the. So after that you have to bring it to the initial value and you have to switch off this. This is how you have to note down the T1 and T2 to calculate. And here the final and the initial value and final value of the current and voltage are also noted down for the calculation. Thank you.
So we have seen the conduction of Sumner's test. So these are the results we have obtained. These 3 readings are OC results or OC readings, and these 3 are the short circuit readings. Now this calculation is similar to OCSE test calculation. So there is no much difference in the calculation here. Only thing is, now whatever iron losses and the copper loss, full load copper loss we have determined or we have read from the wattmeter reading, that is for 2 wattmeters, for 2 transformers. For each transformer we need to calculate the iron loss and full load copper loss. Now, since we assume that there are we are using 2 identical transformer, we assume that the losses occur in the transformer under full load condition will be equal. That is the reason why iron loss per transformer is calculated by dividing the total loss by 2. Similarly, the full load copper loss can be used. Now, using these values, we will calculate the equivalent circuit parameter of the transformer, and then efficiency and regulation of each transformer. Not each transformer, of the transformer. Now the no load current of each transformer, now in this circuit, whatever the IOT, this current is there, this is divided into two primaries. So for that, the no load current for each transformer is IOT divided by 2. So using this, we calculate the no load power factor, which can be used to calculate IC and IM, that is loss component of no load current and magnetizing component of no load current, using this expression. So once we've got IC and IM, we can calculate the magnetizing circuit parameters, that is R0 and X0. They are the shunt parameters. So this is these two are calculated using the OC test. Now using the SC readings, we calculate the R equivalent and Z equivalent. So R equivalent is calculated using the copper loss and the short circuit current, and Z equivalent is calculated using this expression. So when we have both R equivalent and Z equivalent, X equivalent can be calculated using this expression. Coming to the predetermination of efficiency. For predetermining the efficiency, we have this expression. This expression is used to calculate the efficiency of transformer at X times the full load. Now what we do here is, we assume or we start with certain power factor, that is 0.8 power factor. This power factor will remain constant. We only change the X value. We vary the X value from 0.25 to 1, and for different X values, we'll be calculating the efficiency. So kVA, it's given in the specification. Sorry, I haven't explained the specification. So the specification is 1 kVA, 230 volts bar 115 to 230 volts. Two such single phase transformers are required. So using 1 kVA and the power factor given here, we can calculate the efficiency for different loading conditions. Similarly, the regulation is calculated using this expression. So here we will keep the loading condition constant and we'll calculate the regulation for different power factor, both in leading as well as lagging. So this is the typical graph. We expect the efficiency versus output graph to be something like this, similar to this pattern, and the regulation graph will be somewhat similar to this. Small variation can be expected because of the practical situation. So this is the sample calculation. So first we've got the iron loss. From the iron loss and the full load copper loss of each transformer, we'll calculate the efficiency. So we'll start with X equal to 0.25. So all these parameters will remain same. Only thing is we have to substitute X value in each calculation. So that way we'll calculate the efficiency for each load value, and then we'll calculate the regulation using this expression. Here we'll be changing the power factor, that is phi angle will be changed, and we will see for both lagging as well as leading, the only difference is plus will be used for lagging power factor and minus will be used for leading power factor. Now these values, this is load value. Now in this calculation we have taken it to be X equal to 1. So I full load is the low voltage side current. This is low voltage side voltage. So here we get 4.34 rated current divided by rated voltage, and R equivalent and X equivalent we have calculated using short circuit test results. So this is the regulation we get. So coming to the applications of Sumner's test. Normally we require load test to determine the maximum temperature rise of a transformer. Now a small transformer can be put on full load by means of a suitable load impedance. But for large transformer, full load test is difficult since it involves considerable waste of energy, and a suitable load capable of absorbing full load power is not easily available. However, in order to determine the maximum temperature rise, we can go for Sumner's test, because here both the transformer, though there is no any load connected, virtually they are operating at full load. So hence we can calculate the full load maximum temperature rise of the transformer, and using this test we can also calculate the efficiency of the transformer. So in this experiment we have simulated both OC and SC test on two identical transformer. From the OC test and SC readings we have determined the equivalent circuit parameters. Using those we can predetermine the efficiency as well as regulation of single phase transformer for given loading condition and the power factor. The advantage of this test is that the power required to carry out this test is very small. The energy lost is equal to the total loss in the transformer, which is very small. So these are used for very large transformer for which ordinary load tests are very expensive. The limitation of this experiment is that we require two identical transformers to understand or to carry out the or to determine the losses. So that is the only limitation of Sumner's test. Thank you.